Welcome in.
We get a female perspective from a veteran that has served during GWAT time. And so what I have to tell y'all is crazy because and everything that has to go with it, right? And one of the biggest things with that is, I'm hearing all my younger coworkers say, oh man, I hope I don't get drafted, this, that, the other. And one of the biggest things out there I see is all the GWAT vets in the videos. And Angie actually sent me a video that actually shows this. So I kind of wanted to participate a little bit. And when DC calls for us, I maybe should unbutton it first. We got to make sure our uniforms still fit. Because, every GWAT soldier, whether active, got out ETS, don't matter. We've been there. We just go ahead and check if this jacket here still fits. And mine does because I lost a ton of weight. They're not. We just got to make sure our jackets still fit. And yes, I'm still decorated all out. Now, I'm not in the right uniform, but I'm in a uniform. Right? And I appreciate y'all sharing it out. I might have to go lock these dogs up if they don't start acting their age. But I know a lot of us are willing to put the uniform back on and go do what we got to do to take care of what we got to take care of and then come back home safe. And so with that, think what you will, do what you will, and just have fun. And we're going to have an interesting story tonight. So we will have the people come up and we will rock and roll. Appreciate you, Battle. Appreciate you very much. Welcome in, Lyman. Thank you, Chris. Long time no see, Lyman, buddy. Thank you, Wendy. Man. Our lovely co-host is getting set up and getting ready. And then we'll bring, see if I can find, is she in here?
Is there any way we can move the boxes?
How would you like it, ma'am?
Can you have her be in a big box and then?
Yeah, I was gonna switch her and me.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, thanks for talking.
I learned how to do it, see? I learned something.
Hello, gorgeous.
Look at that beautiful flag in the background. That is awesome, Sam.
Yeah, it's not military, though. It's the rebellion.
There's mine.
Yeah. You want it done right, then what I want to do it.
Exactly. Any day.
I love it. Welcome in, y'all. We appreciate you being here.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hey, E. Cooper, welcome in.
Oh, I forgot you're doing the other. I was like, wait a second, who's she talking to?
My imaginary friend. It's from the service, guys.
I bet.
That's funny. How's your day, Sam? How has your day been?
It's been okay. How's y'all's been?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Work, and more work.
Thank you, guys. We'll get started. We can get the taps and likes. That would be great. We can get them up to at least. Let's do at least 1,000K or 1K.
We got quite a few people in here.
So
Over on
glad.
this side, we have Jimmy, Chris, Wendy, Battle, of course, Broken, of course, Lyman, Saren, Catherine, yourself, Rob, and the user. Okay.
Well, thank you for that. Thanks for coming in. We're getting ready to do an interview for my time in the military if you want to stay in and hang out.
Oh, okay, Wendy.
What'd she say?
She said, user is my daughter.
Oh. Hey, Jasmine.
We'll get started at 6:10 or 7:10. Sorry, I'm looking at my time, not.
Welcome in, Widow. Welcome in.
Oh, I sent it to Nick. My bad.
Let me see if I change these boxes.
I'm in an interview, Noah. You can come in though, but
So that we're not so tiny. If we go that way.
there you
I
go.
think that works a
That's
little
perfect.
better.
Yeah, that's good. Nick, I did want to ask you, did you have questions that you wanted to ask, or you can go roll with these?
It just depends on when we go through it. What she talks about, I can add on.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to ask you before.
Siska, welcome in, friend. I see you. How are you? I served with her. She was at my first duty station. She was my first
Oh,
roommate.
that is awesome.
That's really cool. I love that.
I was like,
I'm
wait,
just glad and happy that we've reached out to all these people and get all these people to come see you and tell your story.
sorry, Siska. I was sending out shares. You have questions, Lyman? What kind of questions you got? Hi, Ghost Pirate. Yep, it's me.
We're gonna do so we'll start at 6:10 and then we'll give the last 10 minutes question and answer time for the chat, and then
And just so y'all know, in the room, Sam wasn't only just a soldier, she was also dual military, so she was also a spouse as well.
Oh,
So that's something awesome that if you didn't know.
I'm giving you my social security, Lyman.
And this is going to be a different. So we're going to do a series with Sam. So this is you'll want to come back for the rest of the interview as well, because there's so much to her story that
I don't think an hour gives it justice. You're right.
Exactly. So you guys will have to come back next week. So, anyway, are you ready?
Yeah. Let's do this.
Okay, awesome. Well, I just want to say that I'm honored. We are honored that you're here and that we get to interview you this evening. And we're excited to hear your story and listen and understand your experience. So the first thing I love to do is to kind of paint the picture of your childhood experience growing up, core memories, things like that, like with the foundation of who you are.
That's pretty simple. I come from a military family. My parents both served. They both retired. My dad retired as a first sergeant. My mom retired as a sergeant first class. They were both MPs. But they had me later on in life, so I didn't experience the whole military life, but I experienced a little bit of it. I grew up in Midway, Georgia, and I lived in Germany for a little bit while my parents were military. We moved back to Midway, Georgia, and that's where I lived my life. My dad passed away my senior year of high school, and my mom was alcoholic and abusive, so I no longer have a relationship with her. I've had three run-ins with her since I joined the military. The first one was the one I went to join, and she left. The second was when I went to deploy for the first time, and she said she didn't care if I came back. Mm-hmm. And the third was when she fell down the stairs and almost passed away. She tried to get me in trouble with the military. So I don't have a relationship with my mom, and my dad has passed away. My older sister served for 8 years as a linguist. She did tours after 2001, and she's a badass. She did kickboxing for the military and stuff like that. So I come from a long line of cool stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, that's really cool. So, what was your experience in Germany? I want to like touch on that little.
Which time?
Okay, so yeah, just whatever you want to share. Like, what was your experience living abroad? And
so I lived in Germany as a child, from like I think kindergarten to second grade, and for me it was cool. Like we were allowed to do things I would never let my kids do. Like I walked to and from school by myself. I made my own cereal when my parents were gone because they were already gone by the time I got up for school. Like I had a nanny, but that was only at the house. They celebrated everything in Germany. I loved it so much. So much so that I wanted to go back, and I did. That was my third duty station. No, that was my second duty station.
okay.
Fourth, technically, because I trained in 2 different areas first. But that was my fourth duty station. And I got to travel all around while I lived in Germany. I went to Italy. I trained in Romania. Visited Poland, France. I got to do a lot of cool stuff. And the other abroad places that I've lived for a time is Afghanistan, Syria, Kuwait.
Wow, that's really cool. Do you have anything to add, Nick, or no? Okay.
Not right now.
Okay, perfect, awesome. Okay, so high school years. What is that? What did you experience during those times, and then how did that shape the rest of your high school years? Like what experiences and like prom or like friends, sports, things like that. Like the typical.
So for my middle school, high school years, I danced. I did like flag team and stuff. I was a junior firefighter, so I went out and did firefighting stuff. I've done all that cool jazz. I've gone to burning houses and stuff. I did JRTC for 3 of the 4 years of high school. I got pretty far in that program, but my senior year of high school is when my dad got sick and passed away. So I kind of dropped out of everything. I competed nationally with weightlifting when I was in high school. So I did a lot in high school. I was in honored classes. School was very easy for me. High school was. College is nothing. But yeah, high school was a breeze. The hardest part about high school was my family.
Okay. So in what way was it? It was a family dynamic, or in what way was it really hard?
My parents had me a little later in life, and so they obviously weren't doing a lot of the things that other parents were doing at that time. But also, like I previously mentioned, my mom was an alcoholic, so bringing my friends over to my home was always a difficult time. And I took a lot of the brunt of the abuse from my sister, for my little sister, because she was 4 years younger than me. And my older sister is 12 years older than me, so she wasn't even in the home anymore. She was serving at the time.
And I get that, Sam. I was right there with you. My father was the same way.
Yeah. So it created a lot of unique challenges that I've had to deal with in life. A lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of PTSD, because my mom did a lot of crazy things. Like she tried to burn down the house with us in it.
Oh my goodness. Wow, girl. You can elaborate on whatever you want. So how's that? How having that in your childhood and up until the high school years, how has that shaped you for who you are today? Like, how does that that shape? And then how did that transition to you want to join the military? Like, what was that moment where it was kind of like a wake up call, or like a aha moment, or like this passion that fired inside you to join the military? That was a long question.
Because of all of the things that I grew up living through, I have become a very independent human, over independent, if you must ask. I do everything for myself to a fault. I don't trust a lot of people, because the people who were supposed to be there, who were supposed to love me unconditionally, didn't, and they don't. So it makes making connections with other people hard. My aha moment for the military. So my dad was a very straight shooter. I was allowed to highlight my hair, but I wasn't allowed to color my hair till I turned 18, right? Like small things like that. We had a bet my senior year of high school that if I made straight A's, that he would pay me like $250 or something like that. And well, he passed away my senior year of high school, that little jerk. So I still made straight A's, but the day I graduated, I colored my hair. And I was always raised from the time I understood was that you either get a job or you join the military. There's no walking the earth trying to figure your life out. There's no, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna go backpacking across Europe. There was none of that. You either get a job and you become a successful addition to the society, or you join the military. And so I was working in high school. I was working 2 jobs. I worked at Subway and I worked at an Italian place. He could have just said he was broke. And I ended up getting in a lot of trouble, because as one does when you're a teenager, right? You know, drinking and boozing and stuff like that. So I had to give up one of my jobs. And after I graduated, I went to college. But college wasn't panning out the way I wanted to, because high school was so easy. I wasn't prepared for the dynamics that college brought. Because not only was I going to college and paying for college, I was also, having to pay to live on my own, because I had been kicked out of my home my senior year of high school, like right after my dad passed away. So I hit my second semester of college. I was going to get my MD. I was going to become a doctor. And I couldn't pass calculus. And I hated psychology. No, it wasn't psychology. It was philosophy. I hated philosophy. I was failing those 2 classes. I wasn't doing well in the life that I thought I should be living at that point in time. So when my finals came up, I wrote on my finals, joining the military, see you later. I went to the office, I raised my right hand, and I left that summer. So I did a fall and a spring semester in college, and then I left for the military that summer, in June of 2010.
Can I backtrack?
Were you in the delayed entry program at all?
No, because I left.
Was that quick?
Yeah.
Can I backtrack? And you had shared that you got kicked out of your home. Would you like to elaborate on that and share a little bit about that and that experience?
Sure. After my dad passed away, my mom had extreme grief. She didn't know how to support my sister and I through that, so we supported her. I would sleep on my dad's side of the bed, and I would hold her hand while she slept. And at some point, what I was doing wasn't enough, and she got upset. I was 17 when I graduated high school. She got into such a tizzy fit towards the end of my senior year that, she kicked me out. She allowed me to come back in. She canceled my graduation party. She didn't show up to my graduation. I don't even have pictures with her from my graduation, actually. And so what I did from there is I bounced around homes. I went to my best friend's home, but she was married and they were having issues. And I went to another home. And then I think I lived with Jeremy first. I lived with him for a couple, for quite a while. No, that's not true. I went to live with Wendy first. I lived with Wendy for a while, and I was there helping her out. And And the way that I know Wendy Fox is that I went to high school with her sons. I graduated my senior year with her oldest. And we were all in the same friend group, and we were just all like very much alike. Josh, her son, and I are very much alike. She took me into her home. She gave me a place to stay. We were like bestie friends. But obviously I have parental issues. And so when she started trying to step into that role, in my eyes, I felt like she was trying to step into that role. She was telling me what to do, how to do it. Again, from that point of view, I blew everything up, and I was like, "Nah, dude, like we're not doing this," and I left in a really, really terrible fashion. It was awful. I did come back after I went through training and stuff and apologize. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm a butthole. I'm so sorry." But yeah, so I was never truly homeless, but I did bounce around homes. And through the grace of people and their kindness, I was able to make it through that year.
It had to be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, my dad passed away, and the person that was supposed to be there isn't there for me. And then my older sister, who's 12 years older than me, and it took a lot of therapy to get to this point too. But I wanted her to step into a role for me that wasn't for her, which ended up ruining our relationship too. So I love my older sister to death, but we're not as close as we once were because of incidents that have happened. But again, I was asking for her to be my mom, and that wasn't a fair role for her to be in.
Well, I just thank you for sharing that. It must be really hard.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay, so when you joined the military, what did you want to join? What was your expectation with the military? How you wanted to join? What your rank? All that, the MOS, all that stuff.
So for people out there that aren't military, MOS is your military occupational specialty. And that's pretty much your job you're going to do in the military, right? So for the Army, I know we got to pick ours. Sam, did you get to pick yours, or because you just wanted to go, did they just give you whatever?
So my, not to brag, but to brag, my ASVAB was so high that I was sought out through all of the branches. However, I wanted to choose my job. And so that is the only reason I went through the Army, because Lord knows I did not want to be in the Army. I really wanted to go to the Air Force where they treat ladies nice. You know what I'm saying?
Me too, Sam. Hindsight 2020.
But there ain't no way you're getting me to sign a contract for 4 years, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
So I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be medical, and I wanted to be a medic. So that's what I signed up for. I did a 4-year contract initially. I left for basic training June 2nd, 2010. And I did that. I did basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Home of the artillery.
And that was a good old time. You know what I'm saying? I went to basic training. Well, I guess I kind of missed those parts, right? But I'm a serial monogamist, and at that point, I was already engaged twice. So I had a high school sweetheart I was engaged to, and then I had a guy right after that I got engaged to, and we ended up splitting ways while I was in basic training. So basic training was tough because I not only didn't have my parents, but I also had a Dear John letter, but it was Dear Jane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a letter. He just stopped communicating with me, and I had to call him. I had pneumonia in basic training, and I had to call him off of somebody else's phone. Anybody that has served knows that it's hard to get a phone when you're not supposed to have one. I'm like, hey bud, can I borrow your phone? I know you're not supposed to. And I was like, hey bud, what's going on? And he's like, ooh, about that. So
everyone, a Dear John or Dear Jane letter is what a soldier receives when their significant other leaves them.
So what was the expectation of the basic training? Take your time, because I gotta get my charger. So
basic training was tough. It was hard. I've always been a thick lady. And so physical training is not in my wheelhouse. And what I mean by that is I can lift weights all day long, but going and running and rucking and stuff, that's never been in my wheelhouse. It's never been something that I enjoy. So that part was super tough. And everybody yelling at you, telling you do this, do that. It was just one thing after another, and it was hard. I had a drill sergeant. He came up to me and he was like, he says, he didn't use Sam, but he used my last name. He was like, Sam, do you know why I'm so hard on you? And he was infantry, right? And I said, no, drill sergeant, why is that? He said, because you're soup. I said,
Soup.
I'm soup? He said, yeah, you're soup, but I'm still seasoning you. I was like, okay.
You're like,
but that has always been stuck in my head my entire career is I'm soup, but I'm still being seasoned. He doesn't know if I'm gonna be good or if I'm gonna be bad, but he's figuring it out. I remember that conversation. He had a nasally voice. I remember his face. I'm pretty sure I know his last name, but I'm not gonna blast him on the internet, right? But it was such a wild experience, right? Towards the end of basic training, after I got the D or J letter or whatever, I'm sitting there at my locker because Sundays you get some free time, and so Sunday I'm boo-hooing at my locker. And he's like, "What's wrong with you, Private?" And I said, "Nobody loves me." He said, "Well, I'm gonna throw away those pictures." I was like, "It's your son."
I love that.
I don't know. Basic training. Look, what I tell people, what I told soldiers after basic training at AIT, and then what I tell people today is basic training at AIT is the best time of your life. You will never ever experience anything like that where you're in the suck with a bunch of people who don't know what's happening, who don't know what's going on. Some of them aren't going to make it, and you're just like, "We friends?"
Until they're gone.
Yeah, until they're gone or you guys go somewhere else, right? But that's the crazy thing about the military is that you meet so many people from around the world, and I promise you, I could pick up a phone and call some of them, and they would be there. Siska, Siska was my first roommate ever, and once I got to my first big duty station, and we've seen each other here and there, but that was 16 years ago. But I know that if I were to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I need this," or "Hey, I need help," I know that she would do her best. If she's capable, she would do it. And the same for me and the people that I served with, right? But not all of them are good. It's like life, right? You got good ones and you got bad ones. And I'll be honest, there's a lot more bad ones than there are good ones. But the good ones, they stick with you forever.
Yes.
I love that.
But basically,
and that's the thing I agree with you, Sam. Is no matter where we go, no matter how many paths life take, you can always count on a select few that got your six. And civilians hear us say GY6. GY6 has got your six, right? Because no matter what, if Sam called me and said, "Hey Nick, I'm in a bad way," I'd put in PTO at work and I'd be on my way because she needs help, right? It's not because it's a she. It's because she's a fellow soldier, a veteran that needs help, right?
It's a different bond. And honestly, anything that deals with stuff like this, right? If you get a bunch of firefighters together, that is a different realm than what you're going to find amongst a bunch of people that work in right? Because what you're doing is you're putting your life at risk every day with a bunch of people that you have to rely on. Which is crazy, right? Because I literally just told you earlier that I don't trust nobody. But I had no choice in the military. Especially when you go down range, that left and right soldier, you're like, I don't know, but I really hope you got me, man.
Yeah, take us through that, that process where you have to. How does that work? When you don't trust anybody, but you're you have no choice. How does that work in your brain and every day?
I think the part about that is that you have no choice. Now, especially the further up I got in the ranks, the more I realized that you're looking at some of the soldiers like, I don't want to take this person to Afghanistan. I don't want to go to Syria with this person. And I will tell you, when I went to Afghanistan, I was a private, and I didn't really have any say so of any of that. But when I went to Syria, I was in a leadership position, and we all sat and we talked about each and every soldier. Because it wasn't like a mass unit going, it was like select individuals. Mm-hmm. And we were like, no, this person isn't going to be good. This person's going to be good, right? Like, it was a discussion. And while some of them who went shouldn't have gone, it was like better options than the other ones. Okay. Because not everybody is treated equally, not just soldier wise, or like just not in life, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of my biggest icks from the military that I try really hard to strive not to have happen in my civilian life is I really like Sergeant Nick, but I really like Nick, but I hate Sergeant Sign, right? I hate Sergeant Sign. He is the worst person ever. I would never go to war with him. I don't want to do this. And I found myself saying that so much the further and further I went in the military that it became such an ick. And so honestly, I watched myself do it on TikTok, and it made me pull myself back from a lot of people because I'd be like, oh, you know what? I really like, I don't know your first name, but I really like Sandra, but I hate Battleborn. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the moment I started doing that on TikTok, I was like, no, I left the service for this. Well, it's not why I left, but
right. Yeah. Well, and the reason why I kind of asked you to dive a little bit, because a lot of people, even service members and not, a lot of people sometimes in this world we don't trust, but we don't have like options at sometimes to like trust. And
it's a different trust, right? So
right,
like
exactly.
if you and I were to meet on the side, right, and we were to hang out, my trust for you would probably be about as far as I could throw you.
Yeah.
But if you and I met in service and we went through the same nonsense that we went through together, right? Because you got to think 1% of the nation has served in the military, right. And even a smaller percentage of that is who you're serving with at that time. Mm-hmm. And so you guys all raised your right hand. You guys all decided that this is what you were going to do. And now, especially like when I first joined, because we were still going over there a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, like you looked at everybody like, okay, well, hopefully I see you tomorrow, bud. Mm. You know, so it was a trust built in suck, a common enemy, if you say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's a really good way to describe it. Okay, so.
Yes, exactly, Siska. Trauma bonding. That's exactly what we did. We all trauma bonded together, and it's not a healthy bond.
No.
It is a bond.
Well, you have the trauma bond, and everybody is still in that same boat, right? Because a lot of us left home. We left family members behind. So that also forms another bond because Sam may be missing her husband as much as I'm missing my wife. And no, I would never do anything with Sam. But the fact of the matter is that it is that bond that we may be sitting there having chow in the chow hall and talking about, oh, I got to see my kids on Facebook or whatever we were using back then. And, you know, you got to see your family. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, my God, it was such a great time. And then she starts rambling on about her family. And it just creates that bond that way as well.
Exactly, really Siska. She said, oh, I will trust you to watch the route, but I won't trust you with my books or secrets. And that's a like...
That is fact.
Yeah, the ER causes trauma bonding. Yeah, no, I believe that. Working in the medical field, you see a lot of terrible stuff. Like, yeah. So I did double whammies with trauma bonding in the military. I did the basic soldiering, and then I did medical stuff, which creates a darker humor than most.
Oh yeah, you've got to.
You see and you do a lot of things that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so basic training. Now going into your MOS, your chosen field, can you describe that and what were the joys of that and what were the hard moments?
Man, I loved AIT. AIT is advanced individual training, so not everybody gets that. So there are people who are combat MOSs like the infantry who do OSUT, and that's one, they do all their training at once. But for the MOSs that take a little bit longer, we go to a separate location. And so my AIT was in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And I was there for 4 months. The first 2 months we spent training EMT. So I earned my EMT license across the United States of America. Like I could operate in all 50 states because of the way that the Army has their licensing. And then the last 2 months I spent doing combat stuff, learning how, because so we're taught all the civilian stuff, but as a medic in the military, I am required to do a higher level of things, right? So like I know how to do chest tubes, I know how to do crikes, like I could do suture, like I could do a ton of things that you're definitely not allowed to do in the civilian world, like not even close.
Yeah.
And you get a lot more freedom in EIT. So I was going out. I got tattoos. You weren't supposed to, but I got a tattoo. I was drinking. I almost got kicked out of a bar and got in trouble. I did get kicked out of a bar, but I almost got in trouble because I was underage drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a wild time. It was a time to be had. Yeah, it was good. We worked 5 days a week and we got weekends off. At least that's what I remember. That's what I'm telling myself.
That's cool.
Lucky you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're there for 4 months, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so what are some of the hardest moments? You don't have to.
In AIT?
Yes. What were like the most challenging for you?
Well, so I think probably one of the bigger challenging moments in AIT was the NREMT, which is a test that anybody who has the EMT license takes, because that test is hard. And it's scary because you only get 3 chances to take it, and after the 3rd chance, they automatically reclass you. What that means is sometimes they give you a choice, but 99% of the time they put you in an MOS that needs people. And so if you don't make it, you have to be a cook.
Right.
Like you've already signed your life away. You've already said that you're going to do this, you're going to do that.
Ooh.
And then you don't complete your training, you're going somewhere else.
That's cool.
And so it was scary because you watched people. Now, luckily, I passed my first time, but I watched people who took the 2nd and 3rd time, and then the 3rd time they left, and you're like, it was hard. It was hard watching your friends leave and like fail at stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you got your training, you passed. What was your first you said, did you mention this? What was your first duty station?
Fort Worth, Texas, El Paso.
Okay, and what was your favorite duty station that you?
That's so tough. My favorite duty station was Germany for sure.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So unit wise, it was, as much as I hate to say it, unit wise it was Fort Bliss, Texas, but the duty station wise it was Germany.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. Nick, do you have anything to add? I have more questions, but anything to add?
The only thing I would have to add is I did not like that you guys gave us all that combat lifesaver training and we had to watch the STD videos every time.
Just drink water and take some ibuprofen, bud.
I know, right?
So that's like an inside joke of anybody that's served, because a medic, you come in and you'll be like, my leg hurts, and you're like, okay, what's wrong with it? And they're like, I don't know, it just hurts. Okay, so drink some water, take some ibuprofen, and take a knee. I don't know what you want me to do for you. Like, go back to PT.
And those of us non-medics, we said we could walk in a sick call with our leg cut off, and they still give us motion and water and tell us to suck it up and go back to PT.
Partially true. It better be all the way off.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I love that.
But my first duty station was Fort Bliss, Texas, and I spent 5 years there, give or take.
Okay, that's really neat. So how many deployments did you experience?
I have 2 combat deployments underneath my belt.
Okay. What was one of the hardest?
The deployments were extremely different. So Afghanistan was my first deployment. That was in 2013. That was, I was a part of, so I left my regular job to do a different job for that deployment. I became a female engagement team member, which means I was a part of an all-female company. And you had to try out for it. You had to train for it. It was a whole different category in the military at the time. And that's what my first deployment is. I worked with female AUPs, Afghanistan Uniformed Police Officers.
Okay.
And yes, that's what I did. I listened to their stories. I trained them medically. And I didn't do a traditional role my first deployment.
Wow.
That's awesome, Sam. So when you're talking, you did the AUPs. How was that for you? Was it difficult to communicate, or was it quite easy? I know we had interpreters for us. Did you guys have them as well?
So we had an interpreter, but I also spent 4 or 5 months immersed in the language. So I actually learned Pashto to deploy.
Nice.
And so we would sit there and we would talk to the females. We would have conversations with them because in Afghanistan, Nick can't have a conversation with their females.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot.
Yeah.
It's extremely disrespectful. And so that's what we went and did. We went and talked to them. We got information. We listened to their stories. We shared the intel back. And it was a different world. And like I said, we taught them stuff too. We taught them medical classes. We taught them how to arrest people. Like we got to do a lot of cool things. And there was a lot of heartbreak with it too. But it was a time to be had. We did not wear bulletproof vests like everybody else. We would walk on missions without it because it's what created trust. That was probably the scariest part of those deployments.
Yeah.
And we did have, they called them guardian angels, where we'd have like 2 people that were fully in battle rattle, and they would be with us, but it wouldn't have taken much. We wore hijabs and stuff, so I have a ton of scarves sitting in my house right now from that time. And it was an interesting deployment and drastically different than my second deployment.
Okay.
Yeah, totally understandable.
So,
but I mean,
I would go back and redo deployments like that. That deployment encouraged me to re-enlist because I enjoyed that deployment.
and that's what I was going to ask you. Thank you for hitting that. I was going to say, would you go back and do that job again? Because for me, I feel the same way about mine in the roles I've been in.
My first deployment is what most service members experience when they deploy. Well, at least back in the day, right? Is that initial rush of being downrange, but also that feeling of accomplishment. And there's a lot of nuances with it, right? Like when we would get I'm trying to remember what I could say on here. When we would get rocketed in base, right? We would all have to run to go sit underneath some concrete building, right? And you're like, bro, just let me go in my bed. I just want to stay asleep. But those were experiences, right? Your first IED, your first, being shot at while you're on mission, your first green on blue, blue on green, and that's when friendly and enemy, or friendly on friendly, and then those were all tough moments.
So were there any women specifically that kind of grabbed your heartstrings and you think about them often, or just had a big impact on your life during that deployment?
They were all in the AUP because something terrible happened. None of them joined the AUP because it was something that they grew up wanting to do. A lot of them left husbands that were part of the Taliban. A lot of them left very, very terrible situations from home to go do that. And if they were ever caught, it would be immediate pass away. And probably one of the stories that stick with me the most is we just taught a class and they were wrestling on the floor. They were just like a bunch of, they were older ladies too. There were older ladies, there were young ladies, there was people with brand new babies. and they were wrestling on the floor and stuff. And one of the ladies comes up and she's like, I'm so excited. She's like, I finally got accepted into the officer program. So she would have been the first female AUP to do the training. But she was caught on the way to school, and she did not get to attend that school. So that was probably one of the more heartbreaking parts of that, because like I can see her face, and I can think back to like her laugh in the way that she was just so excited just to progress, just to do something.
Yeah. Wow. Nick, do you have a question? I think we're gonna close a little bit.
I think we'll hit on the second deployment. So you said the first deployment, you'd love to do that again. How was your second deployment compared to that first one?
When you asked if things were promotionally different for men versus women in the AUP, absolutely. Women, it's so crazy because if you look back at like Afghanistan in the early days, women were walking around like we do. And then when the Taliban started to take over, the entire country changed. And so, yeah, at the point in time when I was deployed, they were treated very differently. In fact, I was offered a cow and some chickens to marry one of the men.
Wow.
And then also one of the female AUPs wanted to spend special time with me. And I was like, no, thank you. And they do that. They let you know that by taking your hand and then like putting their middle finger and rubbing it on your palm. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, I'm sorry, what? But my second deployment was in Syria. At that point, I was married. So my first deployment, I was single. My second deployment, I was married and I had kids. I left my 1 and 2-year-old at home. And I volunteered to go because they took a whole bunch of female soldiers and none of the female NCOs were going. So I volunteered to go. It was a dual deployment for me. My husband at the time was also deployed to Iraq. And it was the most political deployment that you could ever dream of.
Ransom, shut the door, please.
We practiced our missions, and we practiced our missions. I mean, that's as political as you get, right? They just want to make sure they weren't doing anything wrong, and Syria was in such a time still at that point, right before it got overran, because my base got overran shortly after I left. It was crazy. I remember sitting, and I was a private, and now I'm an NCO, and I'm sitting in that briefing, and like nothing, it's all red. And there's like this one line, and you're like, I like tap my NCO, and I was like, hey bud, what's that? What's going on that screen? And he was like, what you mean? I was like, what's all the red? He said, oh, those are IEDs. I said, and what's the line? He said, oh, that's our route. What? They're friendly IEDs. Syria placed their own IEDs to protect themselves. And so they gave us a map. And so my IED experience in Syria was with friendly IEDs. And by the way, that doesn't count in combat.
Exactly.
So
nope. Has to be under enemy fire.
It's crazy. Okay, so we're gonna pause the interview and then we'll give the last 10 minutes for people to come up and ask questions. And then we will interview you next week. Thank you so very much. Chat. Do you guys have any questions for Sam?
Sam, while they're getting their questions thought up, I really want to appreciate you taking the time to come on here and share your story. And the biggest part is like you told me, the hard thing to get the female veterans to talk. And so that I take that to heart when you said, yes, I'll do this. So I just want to make sure you got my deepest gratitude for doing this.
Yeah, we appreciate you very much. So in my live, I was asking my chat, and they said that one of the questions was, what was, in your opinion, your favorite MRE? And then the follow-up, what was the worst?
oh man, that's so easy. My favorite was the chicken. Okay, I love the buffalo chicken. That was a newer MRE, but I fell in love with it. The worst one is that dang veggie omelet. That was the worst one. I hated that one. It was gross.
Oh, yes, I concur.
Yeah, we did have a lot of people telling us not to talk. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Siska in the chat said that a lot of people tell female veterans like not to talk, not to have those conversations with people, not to share, because it's different for us versus the male veterans.
Yeah.
We aren't given. There are opportunities for us. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of resources, especially now. But when we speak out about it, we're often looked down upon. Like it wasn't the same experience. Like my ex-husband and I would have those arguments all the time. I would literally be doing the same thing, the same job. The only difference was our titles. And I would be told time and time again that my job wasn't as important as his. Bro, I'm doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy asks, what about the gum MRE?
You're talking about the gum in the MRE that makes you poop?
I don't know. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, describe that.
So they would put gum in the MREs, and it was supposed to help you use the bathroom because MREs will cause constipation for a very, very long time, especially if you just eat them over and over and over again.
Really? That's crazy. She said yes.
Because you imagine you're on mission and all you have is MREs. You don't want to be on mission and have to use the bathroom. Like that.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. What was your most proudest moment of serving our country?
Oh man.
Top 3. Go.
I think my proudest moment serving my country was honestly when I was in Afghanistan, and I felt like I was making a difference with those ladies. It was a different dynamic, and I felt like I was doing something worthwhile. It was almost addicting.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Okay, and then what was would you kind of hit on this, but I just wanted to reiterate it. Would you, because we know that you're retired now, congratulations. Would you, if asked, would you serve your country again?
If I were to do it over again, or if I were to get called up today?
Get called up today.
Oh, that's such a tough one. I would say that knowing myself, I would, but it would be a terrible, terrible choice. I left the military because I had a medical discharge, and my medical discharge was due to SA and harassment throughout my years in the military, which led to more anxiety, depression, and PTSD. And I finally hit a point in my military career that I realized it didn't matter how far I went in rank, it wasn't going to do anything. And that justice only mattered for the ones who aren't a part of the boys club. And I became very angry, I became very outspoken, and I became very aggressive. And it finally took an incident with my sergeant major who stepped over the line that I ended up in a whole bunch of therapy and stuff like that. And they were like, hey, look, you can continue serving, and we think you're a great soldier, you're a great asset, but we're gonna be honest, if you finish out your time, it's probably not gonna pan out well for you. So I opted to leave, and so I would go back, but it would be to the detriment of myself.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. Wendy asked.
So Wendy, okay, got it.
Wendy asked, what support do you as women soldiers, what did you get? Sorry, I'm going to read it. As women soldiers, did they give you? What support did they give you?
In the military? Really nothing, because every time we tried to to set up like mentorships and stuff like that, we were told that we were violating equal opportunity, that the men need just as much mentorship as the women do, which is true. But women needed different mentorship. We needed education. We needed trust. We needed things that we weren't getting. Because I can tell you, when the first incident happened with sexual assault, my first duty station, it was right before my deployment, and I knew that going to anybody about it was going to create a shitstorm, and it would have been awful. And so what I did is I held it in for years. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I supported Cisco when she was pregnant, but there are a lot of people that we just trash each other for no reason. It's like high school, but like at a larger scale, right? Like people will step on people to get anywhere. But anywho, sorry, that's a different soapbox. There's not a whole lot of support. I will tell you that the more open you are to it, the more you see. But it's not readily available. You have to go searching for it yourself. So when I was in the midst of exiting the Army, I received a lot of resources. There was a lot of places that I could go to, but it's only after I had reached into such a dark place that they were like, oh shit, she needs help.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't good.
Right.
And that's true. That happens to a lot of service members, men and women alike. They don't get treated while they're in, and then they're like, oh shit, now they need the help, and now we got resources out on the outside, but it's hard to get it while you're still in.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
If I could do anything again, well, let me say it like this. If my kids grow up, I have 2 little girls, and if they grow up and tell me they want to join the military, first off, I'm really going to encourage the Air Force. That's number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Number 2, what I wish had been done is I wish, especially being from a military family, and I'm not faulting my sister for this at all, and again, I don't have a relationship with my mom, but I wish I had been given more information for my pocket. I wish I had more knowledge to protect myself, because I'll be honest, what I did is I got to my first duty station and I partied freaking hard. Mm-hmm. And it led me into a lot of situations that were not safe. And a lot of people were not safe. And believe it or not, the Army, the military is riddled with predators that you don't know because they're your battle buddies. Mm-hmm. You don't know until it's too late, and you're looking at the person like,
wow.
So, that's the resources. The resources are there, but they're just not offered.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like I was just thinking, I was like, well, you got to choose what you got to choose your MOS. Imagine what other women were able to do and what they've experienced. I'm just like, my goodness.
So I will tell you that there are women in the military that have never experienced some of the things that I've experienced. They have lived a very fortunate time in the military. They've ended up in really good units because, again, not every place is the same.
Yeah.
But being a medic, I was often put with a lot of the combat MOSs. Mm-hmm. And being a part of the combat MOSs opens you up to different things. I mean, but it was something simple as when I joined the female engagement team in El Paso, Texas. Before we even became a company, everybody started telling all the leadership started telling all the soldiers hey, don't talk to those girls. They're gonna get you in trouble with sharp. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. Because this and that. But they also didn't teach us. I don't know if they didn't teach us. I just don't think I was listening to it. I don't know. But when you're drinking and you say no means no. You know what I'm saying? When you're out and you change your mind, it's okay to change your mind. Mm-hmm. And I think those are the things that were missing back in the day when they were preaching those things to all these people. And it happened to men all the time, but they don't report it. So
yeah.
And that's a good point, Sam, because when I went to Afghanistan, they actually reported that 99% of the rape or the SAs over there were male on male.
Mm. Goodness. Well,
that's why in my battle, one of us took our rifles to the shower trailer while the other showered and stood guard because it wasn't happening to us.
Yeah, so Siska and I were at our first duty station together, and we were medics. And I actually left for the female engagement team, and I was stationed with her husband at the time in the same unit. And so she knows what I'm talking about. She has a general idea of kind of like the people I'm talking about. So people laughed at those things. Like I said, telling somebody that I am an SA would have been, well, what were you wearing? What were you doing? Like, why did you put yourself in that situation to get for that to happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's when the Army did start putting some stuff in place, but it wasn't enough. I can promise you that.
It's not enough because what happens with the military is we pull a whole bunch of type A personalities together, and I don't know if you know this or not, and it's a made up statistic, but I believe it to be true. I would say 90% of predators are type A's because they seek what they can manipulate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so you got all these type A people, all these alpha people in the same room. Well, you can't all be alphas, so somebody somewhere is weak. Their weakness is there. And when I joined the military, my weakness was the fact that I didn't have family. You know, that my dad had passed away, and I had never dealt with it. So literally, I would get drunk, and I would just be like, yeah, it was good times.
Okay. I will tell you, Sam, that you got a family now. All of us here are family. And so you're never alone. You need us, you pick up that phone and call. You got my number.
Yeah. Alan said the testosterone from being in combat zones. That's correct. Testosterone and adrenaline are a hell of a drug.
Absolutely. Okay, so what was one of the funnest experiences? And then we'll end the interview at this point.
Oh, one of my funnest experiences. I think my favorite experience, and I was just talking about this the other day. So when I was in Germany, I got to go watch a jump in Romania, and it was the largest multinational jump since World War II. And I not only did I get to watch it, but I got to work it. And so it was just super cool watching all these like units come together and doing something so simple as not simple, but something so cool as jumping out of an airplane for no reason. But it made like national, like it was countries together.
It was international news.
Thank you, international. I was like, national, that's not right. That was definitely one of the coolest experiences because again, I got to experience Romania, but I also got to experience a lot of different people.
That's really cool.
I actually have a coworker that did that. He was one of the jumpers.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a good time to be had. Yeah, the world. I have so many stories. Yeah, Douchebag is another service member that I served with. He was at my last duty station.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Well, thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story. I can't wait to continue your interview next Tuesday. Thank you again. And yeah, Nick, do you have anything? Your final exit?
My final thought is I got your 6. Don't salute me. I wasn't an officer. I was an NCO. I work for a living.
Thank you guys all for coming in and supporting me, especially the ones that I knew in the military. That means a lot for you guys to come in and hang out with me. I do believe in what Nick and Battleborn are trying to do. So if you guys are interested in being interviewed or you guys are interested